Next million years, Charles Galton Darwin, one of the products of the Galton family, Sir Francis Galton, who wrote essays on eugenics. I've read his essays. I think he even might have, no, they weren't. They might have been sermons. I don't even remember, but he's got essays on eugenics I've read. And the Darwins, Wedgwoods, Galtons, they're all kind of intermarried. Charles Galton Darwin wrote The Next Million Years. And this deals with where the elite would take the technocracy in a million years. Come on. I mean, that's all goofus level stuff. But it's interesting because he's laying out this far-flung plan of where things would go in his mind in a million years when, have you read The Time Machine? Right? That should also be on the Globalism Books Talk, because H.G. Wells says in that in a million years, the elite would evolve into these vegetarian, vegan, pacifist soy boys, and then you would have the Morlocks, who are like these troll-like goblin goons. And the troll, goblin, goon, Morlocks eat the Eloi. So part of the point of the Time Machine is that he's trying to say, hey, elites, don't evolve into being vegan pacifists. Remain the wild men. The wild men. Yes, the wild men. That's the term of Charles Galton Darwin in the next million years for the elite. The elite will live outside the smart cities. The elite will hunt and fish and eat meat. The elite will have children, I suppose, in normal ways, I guess. The elite will breed as they see fit. The elite will have slaves, the GMO goblin class, living in the smart cities. The elite will live like kings. The slave, goblin, slug class will inhabit the cities. They will be the servant gammas. And I'm speaking here of, if you've read Brave New World, you know the classes of people. It's a class structure. It's a rigid scientific class structure of the alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and I think the worst are the epsilons. They're like the most janitor slug creatures. That's where who's in the smart cities running the whatever. Remember THX? We did THX with Tristan. That's the epsilon slave class in there building the bots or whatever. And then outside, when you break out of that, I guess you come to Downton Abbey, where everybody lives a normal, holistic existence. I don't know. That's more or less what we have in next million years. But next, let's see. I want to make sure I didn't forget one. H.G. Wells, Kessler, Salk, Russell. Oh, John C. Lilly. I always forget this one. Yeah, so we also needed to look at the usage of drugs and psychedelics. Okay, so we did John C. Lilly, one of the worst books I've ever read, Programming and Meta-Programming in the Human Biocomputer. So, of all people, it was Fritz who hipped me to this book. I was reading one of Fritz's mind control books. I don't remember which one. And he cited these quotes from Lilly, and I didn't believe it. I honestly thought, this is too crazy. This is too out there. Fritz is just off the deep end. There's no way that John C. Lilly actually wrote that he could wipe the minds of kids and reprogram them. And sure enough, I bought the book, and he does. He says it. The book is really hard to read. Half the time you don't know what he's talking about, but you can make out enough of it. Because he was a psychonaut. Like, dude was out there. So, we did it. We did Lilly. It was rough, but we did it. Edward Bernays, The Invisible Government. Propaganda. Yes, in Edward Bernays' propaganda book, he talks about the invisible government. Yes, we did it. We did that classic. Now, there's a lot more. But we're almost halfway, and this is a half-half talk. And in part 2, for subscribers, you're going to get the analysis of the rest of the Globalism books summarized and the 10 Commandments of Globalism. And the purpose of the 10 Commandments of Globalism is that after I've read these 30 plus, 35 books from these people, I know the 10 commandments that they all have to believe, that you have to buy into, because this is the root of the new religion that's now being unveiled to everybody. See my last 2 videos. The boiler room that we did last night and my One World Religion video, Amazon Synod, it's all being laid out. This is the age of the exoteric, revelation of the method, the unveiling, the ISIS unveiled of Madame Blavatsky, the externalization of the hierarchy. It can all come out now because they think that they are in power to the extent that it cannot be opposed. So I was going to do 5, but that didn't make any sense because there's not 5 commandments. The 10 Commandments of Globalism. That will be in part 2. And we will do the other, I don't know how many are left. Let's see how many we've got roughly left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're about halfway. That works out good. So we've got about 14 left to do in the second part. And like an evil Moses, I'll be coming down with see this is how you can't see it yet. This is the 10 Commandments of Globalism on the famous Jason Elsis whiteboard. But you can't see them yet because that's for subscribers to Jason Elsis. So we'll do that probably tomorrow. I'll be up for, look at that. We almost got 400 nerds. Almost 400 nerds. Welcome, everybody. Hope you have enjoyed this summation. Now, again, keep in mind, y'all. I can't forget Pentagon's Brain by Annie Jacobson. Eric Wahlberg's Postmodern Imperialism. Soldiers of Reason. Weaponizing Anthropology, David Price. On Living in a Revolution, Julian Huxley. UNESCO, Julian Huxley. And many more. These are not conspiracy books. A couple of them would be classed as, quote, conspiracy books. But they're well-sourced, decent books anyway, so who cares what? Point is that there's only a couple of these that weren't actually written by total 100% global elite. And that's just because sometimes you can't find a book on a subject, say Tavistock, like I said, just easily accessible by the global elite. So we'll settle for the next best thing. Daniel Eslin's book on Tavistock. Pentagon's Brain, Annie Jacobson. I'd say that counts as a globalist book because it's an authorized history of DARPA. Not really a conspiracy text. It was nominated for the Pulitzer, so I'd say that's mainstream. Walter Bowert's book on mind control, that is in the conspiracy realm. But when it comes to MK Ultra, there's not a lot of mainstream stuff. And by the way, now it's mainstream news. NPR's recent report that all that MK Ultra stuff's all true. Okay, yeah, by the way, that was all true. Yeah, we called you conspiracy theorists for many, many years for talking about it. But by the way, it's all true. Who cares? It's all true. So what? So, part 2. I'm just stressing to people, if you're new to this, that all this series is going through except for one or two cases, books written by global elite. That's it. It's not a conspiracy podcast. It's not a theory. It's merely reading their own books and lecturing through them for 3+ years in dozens of hours of lectures. In, I don't know, 35. I should count exactly how many it is, but then sometimes we reference books that there's not a total, like the Rockefeller's authorized biography. I don't have a lecture on just that, but it's referenced many times and I read it. So that one counts, but there's not a specific talk on that. Yeah, there will be. David Rockefeller's memoirs, that could be in there. It has all the beans. It blows the beans. It blows all the beans. There's a person who says blow the beans. It's pretty funny. Wim Hof's on the edge. It's an intelligence analysis. Servando Gonzalez, it's intelligence analysis. I'd say that transcends conspiracy genre. That's what I'm saying. See, things start to get a little fuzzy, right? I mean, sometimes books are no longer. I mean, when everybody thinks of conspiracy, what do they think of? Boomer shit like UFOs and JFK. Okay, that's conspiracy realm. We're not doing conspiracy realm. Walter Bowart's book, is that conspiracy realm? I'd say it's pretty much been vindicated, as has John Marx's MKUltra book, CIA in the Search for the Manchurian Candidate. We did that talk 3 years ago. We did this talk a year ago. All these have been vindicated, so they're not really in the world of conspiracy anymore. David Price's book, Weaponizing Anthropology. We did the talk on this, how the CIA has utilized anthropology and ethnography for many years. That's not I mean, he's just a mainline academic. So that's not a conspiracy text. So that's what I'm trying to stress to you guys, right? This is not a conspiracy. These are the top thinkers and movers and shakers of our world. Julian Huxley wrote The Philosophy of UNESCO. And we covered this. They say what the conspiracy is. We have essays and talks that we've done on libertarian economics, critiquing neoliberal economics. We've done how many talks and interviews on that? Many. So I just want to stress to you guys that that's what this series is. Oh, and by the way, we can't forget the CIA, MKUltra and all that, and the psychonauts. Right? This is what's up next. Old Terrence himself. I'll spare you guys the Terrence impression because I've done it too many times. It's in final form, as is Nick Cage. You guys know I can do Terrence. I don't even have to do Terrence. You can just right now, just listen in your mind to me doing Terrence. And then I don't even have to do it. So Food of the Gods is next not in the second hour of this, right? The second hour of this will be the summation. And then Food of the Gods by Terrence McKenna will get its own talk because, as Tristan said, hey, bro, why haven't you done any of the psychonauts? Exactly. Well, I did do John C. Lilly, and he counts as one of the premier psychonauts. But we haven't done the normie psychonauts, Tim Leary, Terrence McKenna. And I'll be honest with you, Food of the Gods is a really dumb book. I'm having to marshal all the willpower to make myself finish this dumb book. It was very difficult doing Turning Point. That was a dumb book too. So you see, that's why you guys pay me. I'm like your own little tutor think tank guy for you. Because I know you guys don't have time to read all this garbage. I read this garbage for you. And I can therefore summarize and give you the 10 Commandments of Globalism. All right, time for Super Chats. Great audience tonight. So thankful to have 360, almost 400 nerds tonight. We got up to almost 400. I'm getting talked out. What, hour and a half? That's not too bad. That's about what I figured we'd go. All right, let's get to these based Super Chats. Evolving Aaron B became a member Welcome. Thank you for becoming a member. Yes, time to remind everyone that if you would like access to the many archives over the last 3 years, you can subscribe to Jay's Analysis here in the chat. I'll be putting the purchase a membership link where you can subscribe to Jay's Analysis for $4.95 a month or for $60 a year. You can also do that through YouTube. Now, why does this not want to? There we go. It doesn't want to paste in there. What? I can't put the link in. There we go. You can also, of course, at the shop at Jay's Analysis, get signed copies of Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2. But thank you for joining Evolving Aaron B. And remember, everyone, if you're new to joining on the YouTube channel, it's under the Community tab. Under the Community tab is the Part 1s and the Part 2s, and I'm posting them successively day by day. There's 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel almost now, 985. By the way, some of those have been deleted and removed. So, not because of content, for other reasons. Franklin Chan, $10. Jay, thank you for the work, like always. Thank you so much, Franklin Chan. Much appreciate your many super chats and support. We love our nerds around here. Elizabeth Leclerc, $199.25. That's funny. So, oh, so you paid $199 to. I thought you were doing a joke. Like, here's $2 super chat for me to pretend to give you 25, which is funny. But you then put the $25, which I much appreciate. Thank you so much, Elizabeth Leclerc. The membership is very cheap if anybody wants to join. It's $4.95 a month at the website. You get immediate access on the website to all the archives. It's a little bit cheaper on YouTube if you just want the most recent Part 2s. But if you subscribe to the gold and silver level on YouTube, you get access to the archives as well. But thank you guys for those super chats. Much appreciated. You guys help keep me going. Andrea Luce, $50. Wow, thank you so much, Andrea. Another channel I watch set in Israel. Guy said that UN will be dismantled and another one will be set up in Jerusalem, which is why Trump moved the embassy. Your thoughts? Thank you for all that you do. Wow, I never heard this. I know that there is the pyramid. What is that building? Like court? Like a court system that's built there with a big pyramid. But I had never heard about a embassy being, or I mean, I knew Trump moved the embassy there. I thought that was some kind of deal he had with like Netanyahu or something. I don't know. But that it would be a new UN, I guess that's possible. I wouldn't be surprised. But I have not heard that. I think that the United Nations wants to be the political arm of the total globalism. You kind of have two factions of global elite. Like you've got an Americanist faction and you've got a total technocratic globalism faction. Now, they're not really at odds. They just have different ends to the final goal. They're pretty much all on board with the 10 commandments of globalism, but they differ on the game plans. This is something we've talked about many times. How do we get to that end goal? Do we totally cast away America, shed its skin, and become this total technocratic socialist government? Or do we, string out the Americanism and revamping America's defenses, PNACs type neocon stuff, right? These two game plans. Now, both of them want the end goal of technocracy and Fortune 100 control and all the, but how do we get there? That's where there's disagreement. So I could see something being set up in Jerusalem that related to how can we create a global religion where, like the political United Nations in New York, there's the religious United Nations. I could see that. That would make sense. Ben, $2. Thank you, Ben. You should debate Dave Smith. Well, that is a common ass name, is it not? Who in the heck is Dave Smith? You should debate Joe. Debate Joe Smith down at the saloon. Okay, Dave Smith, 17.4 thousand subscribers.
For all the accusations of racism against the
Joe Smith reacts to Victor Blackwell.
That's all Elijah Cummings is. You even have to.
So this looks like just a bunch of like political stuff. Is there anything more boring than all this political jibber jabber? Part of the problem. So he talks about Nick. Did he debate Nick? I've never heard of Dave Smith. Has Dave Smith debated Nick? Is that what's going on here? Somebody tell me what Dave Smith do. What do Dave Smith do? This is the Trump face. Serious Trump face. Yes, he did. He debated Nick. Is this a debate? What is this? Let's see what this is. Part of the problem. Okay. Okay, so paleo conservative debate with libertarian. Is this guy a libertarian? Oh my gosh. Could you imagine that? By the way, no, libertarians never want to debate. They'll get smashed in debate. De Niro face. I know, that's like the most generic boomer impersonation ever. Yeah, I would debate Dave Smith. I mean, I debated Scott Smith last 2 days ago. So, yeah, tell Dave Smith, let's do it, bruh. Let's do it, bruh. Ben, $2. Nick Fuentes' critique of libertarianism was weak. I would imagine he has similar critiques of libertarianism that I do. But I haven't heard their debate. I have to listen to that to see. But it's not hard to critique libertarianism. So, Private Death, $2. Thank you for covering this material, brother. You're welcome, Private Death. Based Chungus, $3. Favorite verse and book in the New Testament? I mean, I view it like a holistic revelation from Genesis to the Apocalypse. So there's not favorite for me. And this is actually, I was talking to Jamie about this today, that I woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. So I put Jeremiah on and I just was listening to Jeremiah. I listened to the first 18 chapters, just laying there in the middle of the night, listening to Jeremiah. And I was thinking, and this was, I just debated that guy the other day, the Gnostic dude. And I was thinking, when you think about Jeremiah being the spirit and words of Christ, like it takes on such a different perspective. And you realize that it's the spirit of Christ, as the New Testament says, speaking through the Old Testament prophets. Not only does the whole Bible take on a new holistic approach and unity and harmony, when you actually listen to the prophets, you realize that's Jesus speaking through Jeremiah. And that's why Jesus is not the nice hippie dude that all the idiots think he is. I mean, this is why a lot of people don't believe, that they're under the mistaken false impression that Jesus came as this hippie guy against what's in Jeremiah and Isaiah and Zechariah and Haggai, et cetera, et cetera. No, that's totally wrong. So there's not a favorite book and verse in the New Testament. But I am doing rereading Leviticus and Jeremiah and Isaiah at the moment. Amy Polino, $20. Thank you, Amy, so much. I'm reading your book, Esoteric Hollywood, and it's really good. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you are enjoying. I think Esoteric Hollywood 2 has it doesn't have as many reviews because I guess when you do your first book, everybody's excited for you. So Esoteric Hollywood 1 on various Amazons and Goodreads has, 200 or 300 reviews. Most, probably 90% 5 stars. But Esoteric Hollywood 2 has all 5 stars, but not as many reviews. But either way, I'm thankful, and I'm so glad that you are enjoying it, Amy. And I hope that you will enjoy part 2 as well. Because actually part 2 was better written. Part 1's kind of, it's all right. I mean, it's my first book. I'm proud of it. But part 2 is a better written book. Foregone $2. Press V to vindicate Professor J. V. Vindictive V of villainous vermin. No, I'm not going to do the V thing. The Guy Fawkes crap. If you go back and watch the Nick Cage Save America Con Air stream, which is pretty funny. At the beginning of that, I do an improv V for Vendetta, V doing alliteration. Is really dumb, but fun dumb. But yes, we are vindicated. Are we not totally vindicated? Like the last 3 months, man, every day the news is just vindication. Is anybody coming back and apologizing after years and years and years of treating me like a total TARDIS? No. Because they're the TARDISes. And I don't mean Doctor Who's TARDIS. I mean a retardus. I mean Doctor Who. They're the Doctor Who getting in their retardus. Get out of here. Go back to the Tard dimension with Doctor Who in your retardus. Because I was right. Don, $20. What are your thoughts on Eusebius and his defensive origin? Sorry, off topic. I have to catch you when I can. Yeah, I mean, the Eusebius has many errors. There's good things in Eusebius. He's a valuable witness to church history. He defends preterism. He talks about many texts, destruction of the temple being a fulfillment of many prophecies. So we enjoy and appreciate Eusebius for his historical witness. Origen, in many ways, is a great historical witness. Tertullian, in many ways, is a historical witness. But, of course, in the case of Origen and Tertullian, they're not saints. They have very significant errors and really only function as historic witnesses. So they are not saints, but they're valuable. And so Eusebius, in the same way, is very valuable to get an insight into the mind of the church in that day, the early church. Eusebius is good ultimately just for kind of like Protestants. Like if you're new to the early church and you want to learn about how they viewed things and to be kind of red-pilled on the fact that nobody was a Protestant for the first 1,500 years of the church and that Protestantism is a joke, Eusebius is a good place to go, especially if people love history. But no, I've never really covered Eusebius, and because I mean, Eusebius is good for that reason. Like he's good for pointing out preterism and that the early church fathers were not Protestant. But beyond that, he's not really that important, I don't think. It's much better to actually just read those church fathers. Read the letters of Ignatius. Read the letters of Clement. Read St. Irenaeus against heresies, apostolic preaching. Read, St. Cyprian. Read Tertullian. I mean, not Tertullian. Read Justin Martyr. Read those early liturgies, and you'll see that they're orthodox, bruh. Andrea Luce, $20. You triggered my memory. It's supposed to be a New World Order capital. I have heard people speculate that could Jerusalem be used because it's the center of 3 monotheistic faiths, right? Islam, Judaism, Christianity. Could we just turn that into the New World Order capital? I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people who would want that, and they would find it useful to do that. Could be. Do we know for sure? I don't think so. I don't know for sure. I wouldn't claim to know. If it does become the capital of the global order, I would not be surprised. But I want to be hesitant and not presumptuous. I don't want to jump on a lot of people, especially in the realm of internet and YouTube, like to jump on bandwagons of prophecies and end times and Jared Kushner's the... No, you don't know if Jared Kushner's the end. That's crazy. Come on, shut up. And by the way, those people never know anything about preterism at all. So if you don't even know about preterism or what preterism is, then I'm not even going to hear you on your end times gobbledygook. You need to at least know that. And I'm not talking about full preterism. That's heresy. I'm talking about partial preterism. But thank you, Andrea. I'm not talking to you when I'm saying that. I'm talking to people who are overly certain of their end times analyses. Skullduggery, Nerd Bear, the reprehensible $5. Former Terence McKenna, I assume. What other Terence would you be? Terence Trent D'Arby? Are you a former Terence Trent D'Arby fan? Why would you stop being kissing like a bandit, stealing time underneath the sycamore terrain? Cupid by the hour sings Valentine. That was a pretty good Terence Trent D'Arby, wasn't it? do, 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 do. Oh, you don't mean Terence Trent D'Arby. You mean Terence McKenna. You did not get into his content by being an airhead or a screwball. Hey, bro. I didn't say you were an airhead by getting into Terence McKenna's content. I just said the book's not very good. I mean, it's just dumb. I mean, if I was 18, I'm not saying you're 18. I don't know how old you are. But if I was 18, back when I, did acid, man, and I read this book, I'd be like, oh, this is so deep, right? So I'm not saying you're stupid, but I don't believe in evolution. I think evolution is super stupid. So when I see a book that doesn't even question anything about evolution and it just starts talking about how he read a study about the poop of monkeys, and the monkeys had hallucinogenic shrooms in their poop, and so therefore he theorizes that shrooms helped us develop consciousness through evolution. To me, that's just completely stupid. So I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm not saying you're an airhead. I'm sure there are plenty of intelligent people that believe evolution. And one reason for that is that we live in a situation where certain beliefs, certain ideas are just so ingrained in the zeitgeist of our day, the spirit of our age, that it's very difficult for people to even consider questioning them or think about why should I even question Darwinism? I mean, come on, we all know Darwinism's true. We all know macro scale transmutation of species is true. That's what I'm talking about here. Because some asshole will come in the chat and say, the fact that you call it Darwinism shows that you don't even know the first thing about biology, because biology and life sciences are not the same thing as... Like, I don't know that. Come on, dude. Like, I went through the state university like everybody else does. I had all the same astronomy, biology classes like everybody else does. I've heard all this crap, dude. I know all that. I had it shoved down my throat for years, and in grad school. Anyway, I got way off. This is real, and it can take the pressure. What is real? Now you've lost me. Former Terence McKenna fan, and I didn't get into my content or his content by being an airhead or screwball. Bro, if I make fun of Terence McKenna, you can't take it personal. It's just jokes. I thought you might catch his Oh, okay. You thought I would catch Terence McKenna rhetoric in your comment. Cool beans, dude. Word. All right. Thank you guys so much. Tomorrow, I will have part 2 of this up. And I've got a special treat this week. We also have Jamie coming on. Jamie Hanshaw will be with me. and we're going to do a special analysis of, what do we call it? 10 craziest cults. She read a good book on cults, 10 crazy cults or something like that. So she's going to be with me doing an analysis of 10 crazy cults. And I thought that would be good for our decade, the decades that we're doing, right? We're doing 10 commandments of this and 10 of that and 10 of that and 10 of that. So I thought that would be good to do. So in the near future, look forward to Jamie. The next Globalism book talk on its own will be Food of the Gods very soon. I know. I'm sorry. It just takes forever to get through that book. It's really dumb. And then tomorrow night, most likely, the other half of this summation of the Globalism books. Remember, it's linked in the description. The playlist of all the Globalism lectures, part 1s. Below that is the initial series on Quigley, Tragedy and Hope, 8 lectures. Be sure to avail yourself of those great works of Jay's analysis art. And if you feel so inclined, thank you so much for all those super chats. Subscribe, and then you can access and learn all this material, because that's how I make a living. God bless you guys. Have a good night, and I will talk to you soon. And by the way, like and share and subscribe, and sharing doesn't work like it used to. It used to be so easy because you could just post something on Facebook and put it on Twitter. But you see, it's all different now, to where Twitter and Facebook and those things, they don't want you leaving the site. So if you put a link up to, say you're on Facebook, you put a link to a YouTube video, nobody's going to see it because they don't want you leaving Facebook. That's how it all works now. So they're fine with you scrolling through endless memes and headlines on Facebook. Just don't leave Facebook. And it's the same on all these sites. They don't want you going to external things. So it makes a challenge then for us who were doing very well. Like when I would do Jay's analysis back in the day, when I'd write a movie analysis, like I could put that on Facebook and it would get like 500 shares. Remember those days when an article that you linked could get 500 shares and like 1,000 likes? That doesn't even exist anymore. Like can that even happen on Facebook anymore? I mean, maybe with some people's stuff, not with mine. I mean, I could have 10,000 followers on Facebook, and you put a link to an article up or the website, and 3 people like it. Now, come on, out of 10,000 people and 3 people like it, that means maybe 10 see it. So it's all different now. Point being, can you guys please share my stuff? That would help me a lot, because sharing just doesn't even work anymore hardly like it used to for me on my side. It's very difficult. It's like cut in half almost, or worse. So please share my stuff. Please like, subscribe, and all that. And I hope you benefited. I hope you learned a lot. If you go through these 30 plus lectures, you will have essentially a graduate level, master's level, maybe moving up. If you continue with it all, if we did another 30 of these, like that would be a PhD level of globalism. Like you would be, I mean, I'm not joking. That would be like a PhD level, because that would be like 4, 6, 8 years of serious, hardcore, global elite books. You would have like a PhD in that for $4.95 a month. Do you realize the people who go to Harvard and Yale, who study the topics that we're talking about, they don't even have the holistic picture that you're getting from me? And they pay $100,000, $200,000 for that idiot Ivy League retard education that they get. What a bunch of saps. What a bunch of dupes. What a bunch of dummies. You get it from me for $4.95 a month. All the same material. I'm a better teacher than those clowns anyway, because I'm not going to lie to you about climate crap and all that. That's all they get. I saw something that said 60% of the Harvard grads a couple years ago all believe in climate change. What a bunch of idiots. That's who runs the country. Idiots. Now, above them, the helper idiot class, the educated idiot class, above them are the, really evil, nefarious people. And they're not dumb. They know all this stuff, right? So anyway, God bless.